I saw the envelope sitting on the kitchen counter. Just another piece of mail among the bills and junk flyers. It was thicker than most, and the return address was a law firm I didn't recognize. Sarah must have forgotten it when she left for work. I picked it up, intending to put it on her desk. But something about the official crest on the back caught my eye. My name was on it too in the small print, as the intended recipient for some kind of notification. Curiosity, that simple, stupid human trait, got the better of me. I opened it. Inside was a formal letter and a document clipped together, thick and heavy. The letter was short. A standard cover note from a legal assistant saying, "Please find enclosed the updated last will and testament of Miss Sarah Matthews as per recent instructions." My heart gave a strange little flutter. Sarah had a will. We had made one together years ago, early in our marriage. A simple document that said, everything went to the other person, no fuss. We hadn't thought about it since. Why was she updating it now without mentioning it? A chill started to crawl up my spine. This wasn't just a simple update, was it? Not if it involved a lawyer I didn't know. I pulled out the main document. Last will and testament of Sarah Matthews. It declared in bold capital letters. I flipped through the first few pages, legal jargon blurring before my eyes. Revocations, appointments of executors, definitions. Then I got to the clauses about beneficiaries. My breath hitched. My eyes fixated on one paragraph. Then I reread it. Slowly, trying to make sense of the words that seemed to twist and burn on the page. I hereby revoke all prior wills and codicils made by me and declare this to be my last will and testament. I give, devise, and bequeath my entire estate, both real and personal property, of whatever kind and wherever situated, to the Second Chance Animal Rescue, located at 123 Maple Street, Cityville, State. I intentionally make no provision in this will for my husband, John Miller, having given due consideration to this decision. The world seemed to tilt. My hands started to shake and the paper rustled like dry leaves. I intentionally make no provision in this will for my husband, John Miller, having given due consideration to this decision. The words echoed in my head, a cruel, mocking whisper. My wife, Sarah. The woman I had loved for 15 years, married for 10. The woman I shared a bed with, a home with, a life with. She had cut me out, completely. Not a single penny, not a single shared memory, nothing. It couldn't be real. This had to be a mistake. A joke. But it was on legal letterhead, signed, dated just last month. Her signature, clear and elegant, was at the bottom. It was real. It was undeniably real. My mind raced, trying to find a logical explanation. Had we had a huge fight I'd forgotten? Had I done something terrible, unforgivable? I searched my memory, desperate for an answer, a reason for this betrayal. Nothing came to mind. Our marriage wasn't perfect, no marriage is, but we were happy. We laughed, we planned, we talked about having kids, about retiring in a small cottage by the lake. We were a team, or so I thought. A cold, hard knot formed in my stomach. I walked over to the kitchen island, leaning against it, the paper still clutched in my hand. I could feel the blood draining from my face. My knees felt weak. What kind of person does this? What kind of wife? Then another thought, even more painful, hit me. My own will. It was in the safe, tucked away. I had updated it about a year ago, after I got that bonus from work and invested it. I remembered the lawyer, a friendly man who'd told me it was good to keep things current. I remembered the words, clear as day. I hereby give, devise, and bequeath my entire estate, both real and personal property, of whatever kind and wherever situated, to my beloved wife, Sarah Matthews. Should she survive me, she was my sole beneficiary. Everything I owned, everything I worked for, all of it was for her. My life insurance, my retirement, the house, all of it. And she had decided that I was worth nothing to her. That a charity for animals as good as it was more deserving of her estate than the man who shared her life. The contrast was a punch to the gut. I had given her everything in life and in death. She had, with cold, calculated precision, removed me from hers. A wave of nausea washed over me. I looked around our kitchen, the place we cooked meals together, drank coffee in the mornings, talked about our day. It suddenly felt foreign, alien. Was every smile, every touch, every "I love you" a lie? Was this whole life we built together just a carefully constructed facade that I was too blind to see through? I folded the document carefully, trying to smooth out the creases my shaking hands had made. I had to put it back. I couldn't confront her, not yet. Not without a plan. The thought of looking into her eyes, knowing what I knew, made my stomach churn. Could I pretend everything was fine? Could I eat dinner with her tonight, ask about her day, act normal, knowing this terrible secret? The quiet hum of the refrigerator filled the silence. The afternoon sun streamed through the window, highlighting dust motes dancing in the air. Everything was ordinary, but my world had just shattered. I was standing in the wreckage of my own making, clutching the proof of my wife's hidden betrayal. My mind raced, not about what I would say to her, but about what I would do. How could I ever look at her the same way again? How could I ever trust her? The answer, a bitter truth, was that I couldn't. Not anymore. This was just the beginning of understanding the true nature of the woman I thought I knew. I managed to stuff the will back into the envelope, trying to make it look untouched. I placed it back on the counter, exactly where I'd found it. My heart was still hammering against my ribs, a frantic bird trapped in a cage. I felt cold, despite the warm spring air drifting through the open window. Every nerve in my body was screaming, but I forced myself to appear calm. I needed to think. I needed to observe. Sarah came home around 6, just like always. Her cheerful "Honey, I am home" echoed through the house, a sound that usually brought a smile to my face. Today, it felt like a dagger. I was in the living room, pretending to read the newspaper, my hands clammy. "Rough day?" she asked, walking into the living room, her smile bright. She leaned down and kissed my forehead. Her lips felt normal, soft, but my mind was screaming, "Liar!" "Yeah, a little," I mumbled, trying to keep my voice even. "Just tired." She went into the kitchen to start dinner. I watched her from the couch, every movement subtly under a microscope. She picked up the mail. My breath hitched. She flipped through it, then picked up the thick envelope. She glanced at it, then tucked it under a stack of magazines on the island. My stomach tightened. No reaction, no explanation, just a casual hiding. It stung, a fresh wound on top of the already gaping one. Dinner was torturous. I made small talk, asking about her day, pretending to listen. Every time she laughed, it sounded hollow. Every time she looked at me, I felt a tremor of suspicion. Was she thinking about her secret? Was she thinking about how she'd written me out of her life? That night I didn't sleep much. I lay awake next to her, listening to her steady breathing, feeling the warmth of her body beside mine. It used to be a comfort. Now it felt like a deception. I replayed everything in my head, searching for clues, for signs I had missed. And suddenly, they started to appear. Like dots connecting on a page, forming a picture I hadn't seen before. Small things. Sarah had been spending more time on her phone lately. Not in a way that screamed affair, but a quiet intensity. She'd take it with her everywhere, even to the bathroom. Sometimes I'd walk into a room, and she'd quickly flit the screen down or hold it closer to her body. I'd brushed it off as her work, or just being busy. Now, it felt like secrecy. Her laptop too. She used to leave it open sometimes, or ask me to check something for her. Recently, it was always closed, password protected. I'd seen her typing furiously late at night. In the dark, the screen glow illuminating her face. When I'd ask what she was doing, she'd say, just catching up on emails or researching something for work. I'd accepted it, because why wouldn't I? Then there were the arguments. They were never big blowouts, more like simmering disagreements, little tensions. About money sometimes, which was weird because we were doing fine. She'd snap at me for small things, then apologize profusely. I'd attributed it to stress from her job. Now I wondered if it was guilt or resentment. She'd also started going out more often, usually for yoga or book club. Sometimes she'd be back later than she said. I'd never questioned it. I trusted her implicitly. Now that trust felt like a fool's badge. My mind went back to a few months ago when she'd started being vague about her whereabouts. I am just running errands. I'll be home late, meeting a friend. I'd never pressed her. I respected her independence. But what if it wasn't independence? What if it was deceit? The most jarring memory was a conversation we'd had a few weeks before. We were talking about the future, about our long-term goals. I'd mentioned retirement and jokingly said, we need to make sure our wills are updated for all our new assets. She'd just smiled a little too quickly and changed the subject to what we were having for dinner. At the time, it seemed innocuous. Now it was glaring. She had already updated hers. She had already decided to cut me out. The thought made my stomach clench. It wasn't an oversight, it was intentional. She had gone to a lawyer. She had signed the papers. She had made the decision to remove me from her life, financially and legally. And she hadn't said a single word. I couldn't confront her yet. The raw emotion would overwhelm me. I needed proof. I needed to know the whole truth, whatever it was. 'Cause if there was another reason, a secret illness, a huge debt, something that explained this without it being about another person, I wanted to find it. But deep down, a dark suspicion had begun to bloom, a poison ivy creeping through my heart. It had to be another person. Why else would she be so secretive, so distant, so ready to erase me from her future? I needed to find out who and why. The idea of snooping, of invading her privacy, made me sick. But the alternative, living in this agonizing uncertainty, was worse. I knew what I had to do. I had to become a detective in my own home, in my own marriage. And the thought filled me with dread, because I knew whatever I found, it would change everything. The next few days were a blur of forced smiles and internal torment. I started my silent investigation. It felt dirty, unethical, but the alternative was just to sit there, a lamb led to slaughter. I deserved to know. I began with her phone. Sarah always kept it close, but like anyone, she had moments of distraction. One morning she left it on the kitchen counter while she went to shower. My heart pounded. This was my chance. I picked it up. It was locked, of course. My mind raced. Did she have a pattern I knew? A birthday? Our anniversary? I tried a few, hoping for a miracle. Nothing. I put it back down, my hand shaking. This was harder than I thought. I wasn't a spy. I was just a heartbroken husband. Later that day, while she was at work, I turned my attention to her laptop. It was closed, but I knew the password. She had told it to me once, ages ago, her childhood dog's name. I opened it, feeling a fresh wave of guilt mixed with determination. I logged in. My first instinct was to check her emails, but I resisted. That felt too much like a direct invasion. I started with her browser history. Nothing unusual. Work sites, online shopping, news. No suspicious dating sites. No travel booking to exotic locations. Then I looked at her documents. Folders filled with work files, photos, general household stuff. Nothing jumped out. I was about to give up when I remembered something. She had an external hard drive she used for backing up photos. It was usually plugged into her laptop on her desk, but it wasn't there now. I searched her office desk drawers. Under a stack of old notebooks, I found it. A small black portable hard drive. I plugged it into her laptop. A window popped up asking for a password. My heart sank. Of course, another password. I tried her dog's name again, no luck. Our anniversary, number, my birthday. Done number, I sighed, defeated. But then I noticed something. A small, almost invisible sticky note stuck to the underside of her desk drawer. It was in her handwriting. A series of seemingly random letters and numbers. J5 and P. It didn't look like a password. More like a code. But my gut told me to try it. I typed it into the password prompt for the hard drive. The green bar loaded, and then it opened. My breath caught in my throat. The drive was organized into folders, mostly photos, but one folder stood out. It was labeled Project Phoenix, not a name she'd ever mentioned. I clicked on it. Inside were a series of documents, all dated in the last few months. Not Word documents or spreadsheets, they were scans. Scans of financial statements I didn't recognize, bank accounts with numbers I didn't know. Withdrawals. Large ones, tens of thousands of dollars. Not from our joint account, but from an account solely in her name. An account I didn't even know existed. My blood ran cold. Where was this money going? And why was she hiding it? I clicked on the next file. It was a receipt. A receipt from a very expensive jewelry store. Not for an engagement ring or anything like that. It was for a men's watch, a high-end one. Far too expensive for a casual gift. And I hadn't received a watch from her lately. It was dated 2 months ago. My mind screamed. There was a he. This wasn't just about money. This was about someone else. The watch, the secret account, the large withdrawals. It all pointed to one terrifying conclusion. An affair. The will wasn't just a random act of cruelty. It was part of a larger plan. Plan to leave me, to start a new life with someone else, taking her money, her secrets, and leaving me with nothing but a broken heart. My hands were shaking so violently, I almost dropped the laptop. The image of her smiling, laughing, sleeping next to me now seemed a grotesque caricature. Everything was a lie. Every touch, every word of endearment. While I was planning our future, she was planning her escape. I kept clicking, hoping against hope that there was another explanation. Maybe it was for a family member in need. Maybe a secret investment. The watch, the expensive men's watch for someone else. That hammered the final nail into the coffin of my denial. I found a few more documents. A rental agreement for an apartment. Not in our city, but a town about an hour's drive away. It was a small place, a one-bedroom, dated just a month ago. And a car registration for a new car, a model I knew she'd admired but said we couldn't afford right now. The buyer's name on the registration was not hers. It was a man's name. Michael Davies. Michael Davies. Pieces of the puzzle clicked into place, forming a picture of betrayal so vivid it made me want to vomit. The secret account, the expensive gifts, the hidden apartment, the new car for another man, and the will. The will was the final brutal statement. She was moving on. She was building a new life. Without me. She was methodically, quietly, cutting me out piece by agonizing piece. Closed the laptop, the screen reflecting my distorted, heartbroken face. I put the hard drive back, making sure everything was exactly as I'd found it. My heart was a shattered mess in my chest. The pain was so intense I could barely breathe. This wasn't just a crack in the marriage. It was a gaping chasm, an earthquake that had demolished everything I thought was real. I had loved her so completely, and she had been living a double life, planning her exit, while I was blissfully unaware. The question wasn't if I would confront her anymore. It was how, and when, and how I would ever recover from this. The days that followed the hard drive discovery were a waking nightmare. Michael Davies. I couldn't stop picturing him, the man who had stolen my wife, who was receiving expensive watches and new cars paid for with her secret money. Every smile Sarah gave me, every casual touch felt like a deliberate lie, a cruel joke. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. My work suffered. My friends asked if I was okay, if I was sick. I just mumbled about stress. How could I tell them? How could I tell anyone that the woman they all admired, the perfect wife, was systematically betraying me? I needed to see it with my own eyes. Documents were damning. But a part of me, a small, foolish part, still clung to a sliver of hope that there was a misunderstanding. Maybe Project Phoenix was a covert charity operation. The money was for a sick relative, and the car was for her brother or something. My rational brain knew it was a desperate fantasy, but my heart was clinging to any alternative to the crushing truth. So I started following her. It felt despicable, but I had to know. I arranged my work schedule to be flexible. I told Sarah I had late meetings or early appointments. The first few times, nothing. She went to work, she went to the gym, she went to the grocery store. My hope, small as it was, began to flicker. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe this was all a terrible mistake. Then, one Tuesday, Sarah told me she had a book club meeting that night. She dressed a little nicer than usual for book club, I thought. A pretty dress I hadn't seen her wear in a while. She looked radiant, excited. It stung to see her like that, knowing it wasn't for me. I waited until she was a few minutes down the road. Then I got in my car. I kept a safe distance, following her familiar route. She didn't go to the usual place where her book club met. She turned off the main road, heading towards the highway. My stomach dropped. She drove for about an hour, just as the rental agreement had indicated, to that town I'd seen on the document. She pulled into a quiet residential street and parked in front of a small apartment complex. My heart pounded so hard I thought it would burst through my chest. This was it. I parked a few blocks away, making sure my car wasn't visible from her spot. I watched as she got out of her car, smoothed her dress, and walked towards one of the ground floor apartments. The lights were on inside, and then the door opened. A man stepped out. Tall, dark hair, an easy smile. He was handsome, I had to admit, in a rugged sort of way. Michael Davies. It had to be him. Sarah's face lit up, a genuine, joyful light that I hadn't seen directed at me in weeks, maybe months. He wrapped his arms around her, pulling her into a tight hug. She melted into him, burying her face in his shoulder. He kissed the top of her head. It was intimate, too intimate. Not a friend, not a colleague. Not a charity organizer, this was a lover. My vision blurred. The world spun. It was real. All of it. The will, the secret money, the hidden apartment, the new car, the watch. And him, Michael Davies. The proof was right there, unfolding before my eyes like a cruel, twisted movie. They stood there for a long moment, just holding each other. Then he gently pulled back, still holding her hands, and led her inside. The door closed, shutting them away from the world, from me. I sat in my car, numb. The air conditioner was blasting, but I felt like I was suffocating. Tears started to fall, hot and stinging, blurring my vision further. I wasn't just heartbroken. I was humiliated. My wife, the woman I swore to love forever, was in another man's arms, in another man's home, building a new life with him, while I was left in the dust. Every memory of our life together, every laugh, every tender moment was now tainted by this betrayal. It was all a lie. The happiness, the security, the future we planned. All of it was built on sand crumbling away around me. I drove home slowly, the journey back feeling endless. The streets were dark, deserted, just like my heart felt, empty, desolate. What was I going to do? Confront her? Demand answers? What was there to demand? The truth was undeniable. She wanted out. She had chosen him. The bitter irony of my own will, leaving everything to her, burned like acid in my gut. I had prepared for a future where she was taken care of no matter what. She had prepared for a future where I was utterly erased. The thought made me want to scream. I walked into our silent house, the house that was no longer ours, but hers and mine, and soon maybe only hers. I went to the safe, pulled out my will. I stared at the words, "To my beloved wife, Sarah Matthews." They were a mockery now, a testament to my blind devotion, my foolish trust. I considered tearing it up, shredding it into a million pieces just like she had shredded my heart. But I didn't. I just stood there, holding the document, the symbol of my unconditional love, now a stark contrast to her calculated betrayal. The tears kept falling, silent and endless. I didn't know how I was going to face her tomorrow, or ever again. My world had officially ended. I didn't sleep a wink that night. I just lay there, staring at the ceiling. The image of Sarah in Michael Davies's arms seared into my mind. The morning came, gray and lifeless, mirroring how I felt. Sarah woke up, stretched, and gave me a sleepy smile. "Morning, honey," she mumbled. Her voice, once music to my ears, now sounded like nails on a chalkboard. I got out of bed, went through the motions of getting ready for work. I couldn't look her in the eye. Every word she spoke felt like a lie. Every touch a violation. I had to confront her. I couldn't live like this, pretending. At breakfast, she was unusually cheerful. "I had a great book club last night," she said, buttering her toast. My blood ran cold. "Oh," I managed, my voice strained. "What were you reading?" She hesitated for a fraction of a second. "Oh, just some fiction. Really engaging." Her eyes darted away. It was a lie. A poorly constructed lie. I put down my fork. My hands were shaking, but I clenched them into fists under the table. This was it. I couldn't beat around the bush anymore. "Sarah," I began, my voice surprisingly steady despite the storm raging inside me. "I need to talk to you about something important." She looked up, her expression changing from casual to a slight frown. "Oh? What is it?" "It's about the mail," I said, trying to sound as neutral as possible. "The one that came the other day, from the law firm." Her eyes widened just a fraction. Her cheerful demeanor evaporated instantly. "Oh, that. What about it?" Her voice was suddenly tight, defensive. "I opened it," I said, watching her carefully. "I saw it was for you, but my name was on the notification. I thought it might be important for both of us. Her face went pale. She swallowed hard. You opened my mail, John. That's private. It was addressed to me in part, I corrected, my voice gaining strength. But yes, I opened it, and I read it. The will, Sarah. Silence descended upon the kitchen, heavy and suffocating. Sarah just stared at me, her mouth slightly agape. The color had completely drained from her face. The will you made, I continued, where you specifically cut me out, where you left everything to an animal charity. I pushed the words out, each one a hammer blow to my own heart. She finally found her voice, a whisper. John, I can explain. Can you? I challenged, a bitter laugh escaping me. Can you explain why you secretly went behind my back, updated your will, and removed me from it? Without a word, after we made a joint will that left everything to each other. It's not what you think, she said, her voice rising in pitch. I was just updating things, personal things. Personal things? I scoffed, a new wave of anger replacing the initial shock. Cutting your husband out of your will is personal things? What kind of personal things are those, Sarah? It's complicated, John. It doesn't mean anything about us. It's just for the future. For contingencies. Contingencies, I repeated, my voice now laced with ice. What contingencies? That I wouldn't be in your future at all? Because that's what it says, doesn't it? I intentionally make no provision in this will for my husband John Miller, having given due consideration to this decision. Due consideration, Sarah? What consideration did you give me? What consideration did you give to our marriage? She stopped pacing and faced me, her eyes pleading. John, please. You are overreacting. It's just a piece of paper. It's about what happens when I am gone. It doesn't mean I don't love you now. Doesn't mean you don't love me now? I stood up, my chair scraping loudly against the floor. While I am alive, you are planning to give everything away to someone else. And you think that doesn't mean anything about us? What about my will, Sarah? Do you know what my will says? It says everything goes to you. Every single thing I own, everything I've worked for, all of it, to you. Her eyes widened again, but this time it seemed like genuine shock. What? Your will? You left everything to me? Yes, I practically yelled. Because I love you. Because I thought we were partners. Because I thought we had a future together. While you were busy cutting me out. I was busy planning to give you everything. The bitter irony of it all nearly choked me. She looked stunned for a moment. Then her face hardened again, defensively. Well, that's your decision, John. Mine is mine, and I have my reasons. Your reasons? I said, taking a step towards her. Are your reasons named Michael Davies, Sarah? Are your reasons living an hour away in a secret apartment you rented for him? Are your reasons a new car you bought him, or an expensive watch? The color drained from her face again, leaving it ashen. Her jaw dropped. She visibly flinched, as if I had struck her. Her eyes filled with a mixture of fear and shame. What are you talking about? She whispered, her voice barely audible. Don't play innocent with me, I roared, the pain and anger finally breaking through. I know everything, Sarah. I saw you. I saw you with him. This isn't just about a will. This is about lies. This is about betrayal. This is about you tearing our life apart behind my back. She recoiled, stumbling back a step, her hand flying to her mouth. Tears welled up in her eyes, not the shame I expected, but something else, something desperate and raw. She looked utterly broken. But it was too late. My heart had already shattered beyond repair. Sarah didn't deny it. She just stood there trembling, tears streaming down her face. The confession was in her silence, in her broken posture. It was all true. Everything I suspected, everything I found, it was real. The air in the kitchen was thick with unspoken words, with the debris of our shattered life. I felt a strange calm settle over me, a chilling quiet after the storm of my anger. The raw pain was still there, a constant throb, but it was now laced with a profound emptiness. What was left to say? What was left to fight for? "Get out," I said, my voice flat, devoid of emotion. "Get out of my house." She looked up, her eyes wide with shock. "John, please, let me explain. It's not what you think. It's not like that." "Not like what?" I asked, a bitter smile twisting my lips. "Not like you are having an affair. Not like you've been secretly moving money, setting up a new life with him. Not like you've cut me out of your will while I was still planning to give you everything." "What part of that isn't like that, Sarah?" She sobbed, a ragged guttural sound. "You don't understand." "No," I said, shaking my head. "I don't. Because I loved you. I trusted you. I believed in us. And you systematically dismantled everything we built. So, no, I don't understand. And I don't want to. Just get out." She stumbled away, still sobbing, retreating to our bedroom. I heard the muffled sounds of her packing, of hangers clattering, of a suitcase being dragged across the floor. Each sound was a nail in the coffin of our marriage. I sat back down at the kitchen table, feeling hollowed out, drained. The confrontation hadn't brought closure, only more pain. She emerged a short while later, her face red and blotchy, her eyes swollen. She carried a small overnight bag and her purse. She looked at me, a desperate plea in her eyes. "John," she whispered, "can we please just talk? Later, when we're both calm." "Tea here is nothing to talk about, Sarah," I said, without looking up. "You made your choices. I saw them. You made your will. You made your plans. This is what you wanted, isn't it? Freedom, a new life. Well, congratulations, you have it." She let out another sob, a strangled sound, and then she was gone. The front door clicked shut. The silence that followed was deafening. It was over. 15 years, gone, just like that. I walked through the house, every room now filled with ghosts of memories. Art wedding photos on the mantelpiece, our favorite mugs hanging on the kitchen rack, the comfortable sofa where we spent countless evenings. Each object was a reminder of a life that was now nothing but a cruel illusion. The immediate aftermath was a blur of numbness and disbelief. I called work and told them I wouldn't be in. I didn't know what to do. I just sat for hours staring at nothing. Then a flicker of thought, sharp and cold, cut through the fog. My will, the one leaving everything to her. Why hadn't I shredded it? Why hadn't I changed it right there and then? It was a symbol of my unwavering devotion. Now her ultimate prize. She had planned her escape, leaving me with nothing. But ironically, if I died, she would get everything. It was a twisted, bitter joke. Part of me wanted to race to the lawyer, to revoke it immediately, to ensure she got nothing from me, to match her cold betrayal with my own. But another part, a deeply wounded, almost stubborn part, held me back. Maybe it was pride. Maybe it was a last, desperate attempt to hold on to the man I thought I was, the man who loved unconditionally. Or maybe, just maybe, it was the raw, open wound of my heartbreak, so deep that I couldn't even process the practicalities. Thought of changing it felt like a final concession, a full surrender to her victory. And I wasn't ready to give her that satisfaction, even if she never knew the true extent of her gain. I imagined her happy with Michael Davies living in that apartment, driving that new car. And if something happened to me, she would inherit everything. While I was cut out of her world, she was still the sole beneficiary of mine. The irony was suffocating. She didn't know. She didn't know the extent of my love, how fully I had committed even to my death. And it was a secret I wouldn't tell her. Not now, not ever. She had chosen her path. I would choose mine. And mine for now was to carry this unspeakable burden alone. The unraveling was complete. The trust was gone, the love was broken, and only emptiness remained. The house felt immense and empty, without Sarah. Days turned into weeks, a grim parade of solitude. I ate microwave meals, my appetite gone. I worked from home, avoiding human contact as much as possible. My friends called, worried, but I put on a brave face, claiming stress, nothing more. How could I tell them the woman they all loved and admired was a fraud, a cheat, a master of deception? I started to clean, a desperate attempt to fill the silence, to erase her presence. I packed up her clothes, her books, her trinkets. Each item was a fresh stab to the heart. This wasn't just cleaning, it was an exorcism, trying to rid my life of her ghost. One afternoon, I was cleaning out the nightstands in the bedroom. Hers was still full of her things. Underneath a pile of old magazines and a half-finished crossword puzzle book, I found a small, worn leather journal. It wasn't one of the pretty decorative journals she kept on her desk. This one looked older, more personal, tucked away. My first instinct was to ignore it. I had seen enough of her secrets. But something tugged at me. This one felt different. It wasn't about finances or lawyers. I picked it up. It felt heavy in my hand. I opened it. It was a diary. Her handwriting, neat and flowing, filled the pages. I hesitated, my thumb hovering over the first page. Do I really want to know more? What if it's just endless entries about Michael Davies, about their stolen moments, their plans for the future? Could my heart take more? But the urge to understand, to somehow make sense of this devastating betrayal, was too strong. I started to read. The early entries were mundane: work, friends, daily life. Then, around 6 months ago, the tone shifted. October 12th. Woke up feeling off. Just a persistent fatigue. Probably just stress. Need to get more sleep. October 28th. The headaches are getting worse, and the dizziness. Tried to ignore it at work today, but it's hard to focus. My blood ran cold. Headache? Dizziness. This wasn't about Michael. This was about her. November 5th. Dr. Thompson ran some tests. Said it could be a few things. Wants me to see a specialist. Feeling scared, John thinks I am just stressed. I keep telling myself it's nothing. A specialist. My breath caught. My hands started to tremble again, but this time it wasn't from anger. It was from a growing, unsettling dread. November 18th. Saw Dr. Evans today. He ordered more scans. He used words like lesion and mass. My heart is pounding just writing this. I can't breathe. This can't be happening. I can't tell John, he worries so much. A lesion, a mass. My mind reeled. This wasn't about another man. This was about an illness, a serious one. December 1st, the biopsy results came back. It's positive. Grade the 4th glioblastoma, the doctor said. He said it's aggressive, incurable, maybe 6 months to a year with treatment. Oh God. Oh God. The journal fell from my hands. It landed on the rug with a soft thud. Glioblastoma, brain cancer, aggressive, incurable, 6 months to a year. My knees buckled. I sank to the floor, gasping for air. The betrayal, the anger, the humiliation. It all vanished, replaced by a tidal wave of gut-wrenching grief. This was why. This was why she changed the will. This was why she was secret. Not because she was leaving me for another man, but because she was dying. I picked up the journal again, my hands shaking uncontrollably, and flipped to the next pages. December 10th. I haven't told John. How can I shatter his world like this? He's so happy, so full of life. I can't bear to see the pain in his eyes. I can't burden him with this. He deserves a full, happy life, not to watch me waste away. December 15th. Met with a lawyer today. Had to think about the will. I can't leave everything to John. He shouldn't have to deal with my medical debts, with the burden of my care. And I want to ensure my legacy. I want to leave something meaningful, something for the animals I love so much. He wouldn't understand. He'd think I was crazy. He'd think I was trying to hurt him. But I just want to protect him. The words blurred through my tears. Protect him. My God. She wasn't betraying me. She was trying to protect me. She was trying to protect me. She was trying to shield me from her pain, from her death. January 5th started chemotherapy. It's brutal. Michael is coming with me. He's my oncologist. He's so kind, so understanding. He's the only one who knows. He's helping me navigate this. John thinks I am at book club. The guilt is crushing me, but the thought of his face, his worry, I can't do it. Michael, not a lover. An oncologist. My mind reeled back to the apartment. The new car, the expensive watch. It clicked into place with horrifying clarity. The apartment wasn't for him to live in with her. It was likely near a treatment center, a place for her to recover privately after treatments, or perhaps even for Michael to use as a temporary residence during long, exhausting days of her care. The new car wasn't a gift for an affair partner. It was probably a way for Michael, her doctor, to get around more easily, to be more available for her. A car purchase for him, perhaps, to facilitate urgent visits or medical transport, or even a gift in gratitude for the incredible care. And the watch. Maybe a thank you gift for his unwavering support, for keeping her secret, for guiding her through the terrifying journey alone. Or perhaps something more mundane, a payment for services or something. All the evidence I had collected, proof of her betrayal, was actually proof of her suffering, her sacrifice, and her desperate attempt to protect me. I dropped the journal again, my body racked with tremors. The pain in my chest was unbearable, but it was a different kind of pain now. Not anger, not betrayal, but a crushing, overwhelming sorrow. I had accused her, I had thrown her out, I had believed the worst, and all this time she was dying. And she was doing it alone to protect me. To Maeve. I was the fool, the ignorant, self-righteous fool. And the bitter irony of my own will, leaving everything to her while she was trying to ensure I wouldn't be burdened by her death, was a cruel, agonizing twist of fate. How could I have been so wrong? How could I have been so blind? The journal lay open on the floor, the truth spilling out onto the pages like an unstoppable torrent. Glioblastoma. Grade the 4th, incurable. 6 months to a year. The words hammered into my skull, each one a fresh wave of nausea. All the anger, the fury, the sense of betrayal I had harbored evaporated into thin air, replaced by an agonizing, heart-shattering grief. Michael Davies, her oncologist, not her lover. The book club meetings were medical appointments. The secret bank account was for treatments. Or perhaps a contingency fund she didn't want me to know about, to avoid burdening me. The large withdrawals, the apartment, the car, the watch, all pieces of a puzzle I had completely misunderstood. The apartment probably for privacy during her worst days, or even a place she was planning to go to die, away from me to spare me the sight. Car, perhaps a new, more reliable vehicle to get to appointments, or for Michael to be more available. The watch, a gift of immense gratitude, or even payment for his extraordinary compassion and secrecy. My vision blurred with tears, hot and endless. I picked up the journal again, desperate for more details, more understanding, more of her voice. February 10th. The side effects are getting worse. Nausea, fatigue, my hair is starting to thin. John hasn't noticed. Or maybe he has, and he's too kind to mention it. I pretend to be tired from work. He still brings me tea in bed. It breaks my heart that I am keeping this from him. But I can't. I can't. He deserves a beautiful future. March 1st. I am so weak. Michael says the tumor is growing despite treatment. We're running out of options. I've started putting my affairs in order. It feels so cold, so clinical, but I have to. I have to make sure John is free. Free from this, free from me being a burden. The will is done, it's for the best. He'll hate me, but at least he'll be safe. She thought I would hate her. She thought she was protecting me. And I, in my ignorance, had fulfilled her darkest fear. I had hated her. I had accused her. I had thrown her out. The image of her face when I had accused her of the affair, when I had yelled at her about Michael Davies, flashed in my mind. The shock, the hurt, the tears, they weren't tears of guilt for an affair. They were tears of a dying woman, whose last desperate attempt to protect the man she loved had just been brutally misinterpreted and thrown back in her face. My heart was a raw, bleeding mess. The regret was a physical weight, pressing down on me, crushing the air from my lungs. How could I have been so blind? How could I have assumed the worst? All the little signs I had twisted into evidence of betrayal. Her secrecy with her phone, her tiredness, her emotional distance. They were all symptoms of a hidden battle, of her declining health. I remembered her apologies for snapping at me. Not guilt over an affair, but frustration with her failing body, with the crushing weight of her secret. Her book club outings, her late meetings. She was facing death alone, enduring grueling treatments, while I was blissfully unaware, building scenarios of infidelity in my mind. The irony of my own will, the one leaving everything to her. The woman who was trying to shield me from the financial and emotional burden of her illness and death, was a bitter, agonizing punch. I had accused her of greed, of wanting to take everything and leave me with nothing, when she was, in fact, trying to leave me with nothing but freedom. By ensuring I wouldn't inherit debt or a difficult future. She wanted to free me from her, from the inevitable pain of her decline. And she never knew that I had already given her everything. The silence of the house was no longer empty. It was filled with the echoes of my terrible mistakes, of her silent suffering, of the love I had so cruelly doubted. I imagined her now, wherever she was, enduring her illness alone, convinced I hated her, convinced she had done the right thing to protect me. I had to find her. I had to apologize. I had to tell her I understood. I had to tell her I loved her, that I was there for her, no matter what, that I would never let her face this alone. My heart was breaking, not just for her, but for all the lost moments, for all the unspoken words, for all the time I had wasted in anger and suspicion. Terrible truth had shattered my world, but it had also revealed the immense, selfless love that Sarah had carried in her silent, dying heart. And now I had to try and fix it before it was too late, before she was truly gone. I scrambled to my feet, the journal still clutched in my hand. I had to find her, now. I pulled out my phone, my fingers trembling as I tried to dial her sister, her closest friend, anyone who might know where she was. No answer. I tried her office, but it was late. Then I remembered Michael Davies' name, her oncologist. I found my laptop, opened it, and searched for his name online. It didn't take long to find his medical practice. I called the main number, but it was after hours. I tried the emergency line, explaining I was Sarah Matthews' husband and it was an emergency. The answering service took my message, promising to forward it to the on-call doctor. The wait was agonizing. I paced the floor, my mind racing, replaying every moment of our last conversation, every harsh word I had thrown at her. The shame burned, a hot, searing pain. She had been protecting me, and I had accused her of the worst betrayal imaginable. Finally, my phone rang. It was an unfamiliar number. "Mr. Miller?" a calm, professional voice asked. "This is Dr. Davies. I understand you are looking for Sarah." "Yes," I practically yelled, my voice hoarse. "Dr. Davies, I know. I know about Sarah, about her illness. I found her journal. I need to see her. Please, where is she?" There was a moment of silence on the other end. "She's at a private care facility, Mr. Miller. Her condition has worsened significantly in the past few days. She asked to be somewhere quiet, where she wouldn't be a burden." "Please," I begged, tears streaming down my face. "I need to see her. I need to apologize. I need to tell her I understand, that I love her. I was so wrong. I thought she was having an affair." Dr. Davies sighed, a sound of weary compassion. "She feared you would, Mr. Miller. That's why she kept it from you. She truly believed she was protecting you. She said she couldn't bear to see you grieve, to watch her decline." He gave me the address. It was not the apartment I'd seen her go into, but a hospice-like facility nestled quietly on the outskirts of town. I grabbed my keys and ran out the door, the journal still clutched tightly in my hand. The drive was a blur. Every red light felt like an eternity, every turn a lifetime. I finally pulled into the quiet, tree-lined driveway of the facility. It looked peaceful, almost serene, but the silence felt heavy with impending loss. A nurse directed me to her room. My heart was pounding so hard it felt like it would burst. I pushed the door open, my hand trembling. Sarah was in bed, propped up by pillows. She looked so fragile, so small. Her face was pale, her hair thinning, just as the journal had described. But her eyes, though tired, still held a familiar spark. Michael Davies was sitting by her bedside, holding her hand. He looked up, his expression one of understanding, and gently squeezed her hand before getting up and leaving the room, giving us space. Sarah looked at me, her eyes widening. "John," she whispered, her voice weak. "What are you doing here?" I walked to her bedside, my legs feeling like lead. I fell to my knees, holding the journal out to her. "I know, Sarah," I choked out. tears pouring down my face. I know everything. I read your journal. Oh God, Sarah, I am so sorry. I was so wrong. I thought you were betraying me. Her eyes filled with tears. You know? She whispered, her voice barely audible. You found it? Yes, I sobbed. I found it. I read about Michael, about the cancer, about everything. You were trying to protect me. You weren't cutting me out. You were trying to free me. And I threw you out. I said terrible things. I didn't understand. She reached out a trembling hand and I took it, holding it to my face. Her touch was so familiar, yet so frail. I didn't want you to see me like this, John, she whispered. I didn't want to be a burden. I wanted you to live a full life unburdened by my illness. The will. I did it so you wouldn't be stuck with my medical bills or feel obligated to care for me. I wanted to leave something meaningful to the animals in case I went quickly. So you wouldn't have to deal with my decline. Oh, Sarah, I cried, burying my face in her hand. You were never a burden. Never. All I ever wanted was you. I just updated my will last year, Sarah. Everything, every single thing I own, it all goes to you. You are my sole beneficiary. You didn't know. Her eyes widened, filling with a profound, heartbreaking realization. A single tear tracked down her temple, lost in her hair. You did that, she whispered. Even now, always, Sarah, I choked out. Always. I never changed it. I never would. I love you so much, and I am so sorry I doubted you. I should have known. I should have trusted you. She closed her eyes, a look of profound sorrow and resignation on her face. I am so tired, John, she whispered. I am so tired. John, here now, I promised, pressing her hand to my lips. I am here. I am not leaving. We'll face this together. Just tell me what you need, please. Just tell me. Her eyes fluttered open. She looked at me, a faint, sad smile gracing her lips. I just needed you to know, John, she said, her voice fading, that I loved you. Always. Those were her last coherent words. The unsaid words, the misunderstood actions had finally found their truth, in a room filled with pain and regret, but also with a love that, despite everything, had never truly died. Sarah slipped away 2 days later. The hospice room became our world. I never left her side. I held her hand, stroked her hair, whispered, I love you, over and over again, even when her eyes were clouded, even when she couldn't respond. Dr. Davies came by often, quietly checking on her, offering support. He confirmed everything from the journal, explaining the rapid progression of her cancer, how Sarah had been adamant about keeping it a secret from me, about ensuring my future was unburdened. He even shed light on the apartment. It was a temporary private medical recovery space, purchased by the foundation he worked for, to offer discreet care for patients who wished to manage their illness privately. Car and watch were indeed grateful gifts from Sarah, for his dedication and for helping her maintain her secret. Everything I had misinterpreted, every piece of evidence was actually proof of her selfless devotion and sacrifice. When she finally took her last breath, it was quiet, peaceful. The room was still. My world stopped. Profound sadness that settled over me was unlike anything I had ever known. It wasn't just the grief of losing her, but the heavy weight of regret, the crushing realization of how much she had endured alone, how much she had loved me, even as I doubted her. In the days that followed, the practicalities of death had to be faced. Sarah had made arrangements for a simple cremation. Her lawyer contacted me, mentioning the will. I met him, not a different lawyer from the one I knew, but the same one, just a different branch. He explained Sarah's wishes, her intention to leave everything to the animal charity. He looked surprised when I explained I was already aware, and that I understood her reasons. He mentioned that Sarah had specifically included a clause that stated her express wish that her husband not contest the will. She wanted to avoid any further stress or burden on me, even after her death. She had truly planned everything to the smallest detail to protect me. I didn't contest it. How could I? It was her final act of love, however misguided, and I had my own will, unchanged, untouched. The irony remained, a bitter private truth. My will, leaving everything to her, remained a testament to my unwavering love, even as her will, leaving everything to a charity, was her final, desperate attempt to shield me. The months that followed were a blur of grief. I kept her journal close, rereading it often. It was a painful reminder of her suffering, but also a profound comfort, a testament to her incredible love and selflessness. I learned to live with the regret, the knowledge that I had so terribly misunderstood her, that I had accused her of betrayal when she was making the ultimate sacrifice. I visited the Second Chance Animal Rescue. It was a small, well-run charity, full of dedicated volunteers. I saw a small plaque near the entrance, a simple acknowledgement of a significant donation made by a generous, anonymous benefactor. I knew it was Sarah. Her legacy was truly there in the lives of the animals she loved. I never changed my own will. It still named Sarah as my sole beneficiary. It felt important, a silent promise, a permanent echo of my love. If anything ever happened to me, her family, or perhaps even the charity she loved, would benefit, indirectly through my estate. It was a small personal way to honor her, to ensure that even in death, our love, despite its tragic ending, was intertwined. Life went on, but it was a different life, a quieter life. A life marked by profound understanding and enduring sorrow. The pain of her loss never truly faded, but it transformed. It became a deep, quiet ache, a constant reminder of the incredible woman I had loved and almost lost to my own misunderstanding. The story of our wills, the perfect, heartbreaking irony, became a secret I carried. It was a testament to how love can be expressed and misunderstood in the most profound ways. She never knew the depth of my commitment, how truly I had given her everything, and I had almost gone to my grave believing she had betrayed me, when all she had done was love me so much. She tried to protect me from the worst pain imaginable, even from her own death. And that, in the end, was the most heartbreaking truth of all.